The discovery the wind was dry and sharp, blowing fine red dust over the broken stones of the alien city. Evan Cole walked carefully through the ruins, his boots crunching softly. His helmet scanned the air. No life signs. No power. The place had been dead for centuries. Evan was a solo explorer. He worked for a small company that sold data from old planets. Most of the time, he only found empty buildings and broken machines. He was used to silence. He liked it, actually, but today felt different. As he stepped over a collapsed wall, his scanner beeped. Just once. A quick, weak signal. "What was that?" he whispered. He moved slowly, checking the signal again. It came from underground, deep below the ruins. He searched the area and found a half-covered stairway. The stones were cracked, but still strong enough to walk on. He turned on his helmet light and went down. The stairs led him into a large chamber. It was dark and cold. Strange symbols covered the walls, glowing faintly in the dust. Old machines stood silently, some broken, others still humming quietly, and then he heard it. A soft sound. Not a machine. A cry. Evan froze. It came again. A weak, high sound like a child crying. He followed it, heart beating fast. He reached a small room at the end of the hall. The door was half open. Inside, he saw a strange pod covered in wires and tubes. Some were broken. The cry came from there. He stepped closer. The pod opened slightly. Inside was a girl, but not human. She was small, thin, with gray-blue skin and large black eyes. Her hair was white, glowing softly. She looked no older than 6 or 7. Her body shook as she cried. Evan stared. What the hell? The girl looked up at him. Her eyes widened in fear. She tried to pull back, but there was no space. Her arm was bandaged. Someone had taken care of her. Not long ago. Evan raised both hands slowly. "It's okay," he said gently. "I won't hurt you." Of course, she didn't understand. But something in his voice made her stop crying. He scanned her quickly. Low body heat, injured, hungry, very weak. He looked around the room. Drawings covered the walls, showing the same girl. Sometimes with other beings who looked like her. Sometimes standing in front of machines, her eyes glowing. "You're important, aren't you?" Evan said softly. "Someone hid you here." The girl watched him with tired eyes. He took off his glove and held out his hand. "Come on, let's get you out of here." She hesitated, then slowly reached out. Her fingers touched his, cold and shaking. He gently helped her out of the pod. She stood, barely able to walk. He picked her up carefully. "You're light," he whispered, carrying her out of the room. But just as they stepped into the hallway, his scanner beeped again. This time, the reading was stronger. Movement. Several signals. His eyes widened. Damn. Something was waking up. The machines in the chamber began to hum louder. Lights blinked. Metal arms twitched. He turned and ran, holding the girl close. She didn't cry now. She held on to him tightly, her eyes shut. He climbed the stairs fast. Behind him, the chamber lights glowed bright green. A deep sound echoed like a warning. Outside, the wind was still blowing. He reached his small ship parked nearby. It was old, but fast. He opened the hatch and got inside. Placing the girl gently in the co-pilot seat, he started the engine. "Weow. Need to go. Now." As the ship lifted into the air, he looked back at the ruins. The center of the city was glowing. Old systems were turning on, and something deep underground was moving. Evan took a deep breath. What did I just get myself into? The girl looked at him. Her eyes still held fear, but also something else. Trust. Evan stared back. "You'll be safe," he said quietly. "I promise." But in the back of his mind, one thought grew louder. Who is she, and more importantly, who will come looking for her? Escape from the ruins. The engines roared as Evan's ship lifted into the red sky, kicking up a cloud of dust and old bones. Inside, the alien girl sat quietly in the co-pilot seat, holding the edge of her seat with trembling hands. She had never seen anything like this before. Lights, metal, the stars above. Evan glanced at her. "You okay?" he asked, knowing she couldn't answer, but she looked at him, her big black eyes calm now, curious. He tried to smile, but the scanner's warning beep killed the moment. No, no, no. On the screen, a pulsing red dot appeared near the ruins, then another, then 5. Unknown life forms, moving fast, coming from underground. Evan didn't wait. He hit the thrusters. Hold on. The ship shot forward, but just then, a beam of blue light fired from the ruins. It missed the ship by inches, burning a hole through a rock spire behind them. "Damn!" Evan shouted, gripping the controls. 3 more beams fired, this time following the ship. "They're targeting us." "They're targeting you," he said, glancing at the girl. Outside, ancient weapons mounted on the ruins had activated, turning, slowly, tracking them. Some fired plasma bolts, others shot long energy spikes. This wasn't just a defense system. This was a hunt. Evan zigzagged through the canyon, the ship bouncing violently. A shot hit their wing. Alarms blared. "Shields down to 34%. The ship's voice warned. Evan gritted his teeth. Come on, come on." They burst out of the canyon. But the worst was waiting above. A black drone, long and sharp like a floating blade, descended in front of them. It glowed with green lights. Alien symbols danced across its surface. The girl gasped softly. She knew that thing. Evan slammed the thrusters, but the drone matched his speed. It sent a message in a language Evan's ship couldn't decode. Static, then a sound like metal grinding mixed with a whisper. And then it fired. The beam hit them square in the front. The ship spun wildly. Fire burst from one engine. The girl screamed. Evan shouted, "Hang on!" As the ship dove toward a nearby mountain. They crashed through the forest below, if you could call it that. Twisted red trees, sharp and tall like spears, broke under them. Finally, the ship skidded into a cliffside and stopped. Silence. Smoke. Evan coughed, blood on his lip. "Status report," he groaned. "Engine critical, power at 11%. Navigation offline." He looked over. The girl was crying again, but not from fear. Her hand glowed softly. Her eyes shimmered. Then something strange happened. The broken ship lights flickered and turned back on. "What the?" He watched in shock as her glow faded. Her breathing slowed. She looked dizzy. "You did that?" Evan whispered. She didn't answer. But now he understood. She had some kind of energy. Something powerful, and she didn't know how to control it. He opened the hatch. Smoke poured out. He lifted her in his arms again. "We have to move. They'll come. They always come when you use that power." The forest was silent, but Evan's gut screamed danger. Behind them, the drone descended through the smoke. "Go," Evan whispered to himself. "Just keep moving." They hiked through the trees for hours. The girl leaned on his shoulder, half asleep. Evan's arm ached, but he didn't stop. Finally, he found an old outpost built long ago by other explorers. It was falling apart, but the walls still stood. He hacked the door open. Inside, dust covered everything. But there was power, weak but enough. He laid the girl on a bed and searched the system. No contact signal, no help. But something else caught his eye. A transmission. Not recent. About a war, about a weapon. He read the text. Short, broken. They called her the Seed, last of the Starborn. Must never awaken. His heart froze. "What are you?" he whispered, staring at the girl. She slept peacefully, but for how long? Evan walked outside. In the distance, lights blinked in the sky. Ships. They were coming. Not rescue, not human. They were coming for her, and he had no idea how to stop them. Hiding on the ship for 2 days, Evan didn't sleep. He stayed near the girl, checking her breathing, guarding the broken outpost, and watching the skies. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the red beam from the drone. Every sound in the dark made him reach for his blaster, but nothing came. Not yet. Inside, the alien girl, still too weak to walk much, rested. She was quiet, alert, watching him as he moved around. Her wounds were healing faster than expected. Her skin glowed faintly in the dark, like starlight trapped inside her body. On the third day, she spoke her first word. "Evan." He froze. He looked at her. "What did you say?" She pointed at him very softly. "Evan." He blinked. He hadn't told her his name. Maybe the ship's computer said it, maybe she just heard him talk to himself, but still, it hit him. She was trying. "Yeah, that's me," he said, kneeling beside her. "And you? We need to call you something." She tilted her head, curious. "Lyra," he said. "You look like a Lyra." She smiled, just a little, and for the first time Evan smiled back. Later that day he made a decision. The outpost wouldn't hold long. He had repaired enough of his ship to fly short distances. They needed to move. Evan carried Lyra back to the ship. The engine stuttered but started. "One jump, that's all we've got," he muttered, checking the nav. He picked a nearby asteroid belt, full of rocks, caves, old mining stations, good for hiding. As the ship flew silently through space, Lyra sat beside him, watching the stars. She was fascinated. Every light, every screen, like a child seeing the world for the first time. But Evan couldn't enjoy it, not when every scanner beep made his heart pound. The moment they landed in the mining field, Evan shut everything down. No lights, no signals, just floating in the dark. They were ghosts now, invisible. That night Evan finally slept. But the dream didn't let him rest. He saw fire, a city burning, giant machines, floating towers, black ships with green eyes, and in the center, Lyra, standing, alone, her hands glowing, everything around her breaking apart. He woke up in sweat. She was sitting across from him, staring. "You saw it," she whispered. His heart raced. "You can speak?" "Small," she said. "Words? Come." He swallowed. "Was it real? That dream?" She nodded slowly. "Before. Long ago." "Who were you?" he asked. Lyra looked down. "Princess? Soldier? Weapon?" She didn't answer, just whispered, "They want me to open the door." Evan spent the next day digging through the ship's old database. He connected his helmet to the alien ruins data he collected before escaping. Tried translating what little he had. The same phrase kept appearing. The seed must not awaken. And then buried deep in one file he found something worse. A star map. Showing dozens of planets. Burned. Erased. The last one was the planet he found Lyra on, and next to it, another blinking dot. Earth. He stared at it for a long time. "They're coming for her," he said, "and if she falls into the wrong hand," he didn't finish, he didn't need to. The next morning he was repairing the sensor array when the ship shook. Not from an engine, not from inside, but outside. A ripple, as if space itself had moved. He ran to the cockpit. A massive ship had just entered the asteroid field, black as night with long arms and a glowing green core. Not human, not friendly. How did they find us? Evan whispered. Lyra stood behind him. She looked at the ship and her eyes widened. "Hunter?" she said. "Can they sense you?" She nodded. "Damn it." Evan grabbed her hand. "We have to run." "No," she said suddenly. "Hide." She ran to the back of the ship and touched the wall. A wave of blue light spread through the ship like a pulse. The lights dimmed, engines cooled, everything stopped. Evan watched the systems fade, but stay alive, like they were asleep. "What did you do?" he asked. "Hit us," she said, inside. He didn't understand how, but it worked. The hunter ship passed by, stopped, scanned, waited, then slowly moved on. They both stayed still for an hour. Finally, Evan spoke. "What are you really, Lyra?" She looked at him, tired. "Last of the Gateborn. What does that mean?" She touched her chest. "I remember now. I'm not a weapon, I'm a key." The chase silence filled the ship. Evan stared at Lyra. Her last words echoed in his mind. "I'm not a weapon. I'm a key." He didn't know what that meant, not yet, but he knew one thing. It wasn't over. Hiding had worked, this time. But the hunter ship wouldn't stop searching. They were running out of places to hide. Evan turned back to the map. Earth was too far. They needed answers first. He searched for ancient archives, forgotten data stations, hidden AI cores, anything connected to the ruins he had found. One result blinked on the screen. Archeon Station, deep space, decommissioned, Class 5 research facility. Old, cold, but maybe still holding records from the pre-collapse era. "We're going there," he said, starting the engines. Lyra nodded silently. The journey took 2 days. They passed dead moons, black suns, and ships frozen in time. This part of space was abandoned, forgotten. The kind of place where secrets were buried and never meant to be found. When they reached Archeon Station, it looked like a skeleton floating in space. Broken arms, shattered panels, but its core was still intact. Evan docked carefully. Inside, the halls were dark. Old blood stained the walls. Machines lay scattered like bones. "Stay close," he said to Lyra. She walked beside him, eyes glowing, faintly in the dark. They reached the data core. Evan hacked into the system. Lights flickered on. Old logs came to life. Project Gate. Born hundreds of entries appeared. He opened the first one. A scientist's voice played. "We found a child in the ruins." She activated the gate. "She's not a weapon. She is the key. The enemy wants her to open it. They think they can control what comes after. They are wrong." The next log was corrupted. The third one played. "We sealed the gate, used her DNA to lock it forever. Only she can open it again. If she lives, they will hunt her." Evan looked at Lyra. "They were talking about you." Lyra was quiet. Her eyes filled with fear. "What happens if the gate opens?" he asked. "Darkness," she said softly. "Something older than time." Before he could ask more, the station lights turned red. Proximity alert. He turned to the monitor. 2 ships. Not alien. Human. But not friendly. Mercenaries. "They must have tracked our jump," Evan said, grabbing his weapon. He turned to Lyra. "We have to run, now." They moved fast, back through the broken halls, but the mercs were already inside. Gunfire echoed through the corridors. Evan ducked behind a pillar. Returned fire. "Go, Lyra. Head for the ship. Not without you. I'll be right behind you. Go." She ran. Evan fought back, but he was outnumbered. A blast hit his shoulder. He fell hard, just as the merc raised his rifle for a killing shot. He froze. Literally. Ice spread across his body in seconds. Evan turned. Lyra stood at the end of the hall, her hands glowing bright blue. The air around her shimmered. The other mercs turned to fire, but the station shook. Metal bent, gravity twisted. Evan grabbed her hand. "Stop! You'll burn out again!" She gasped, and the power faded. "Let's go," he said. They reached the ship and launched. The merc ships chased them into open space. Laser fire lit up the black. Evan dodged, weaved through debris, took sharp turns. But the mercs were faster. "We need more speed," he shouted. Lyra didn't speak. She walked to the engine room, put her hand on the core. Her glow spread through the ship, again. But this time, something changed. The stars outside twisted. Space bent. A hole opened in front of them. "What the hell? Is that?" "A gate," Lyra whispered. "A small one." Evan didn't argue. He flew straight into it. Behind them, the merc ships tried to follow, but the gate closed. Silence again. Outside, a different part of space. No stars, only a giant dark sphere in the distance. Evan checked the maps. We're off-grid, way off-grid. He looked at Lyra. You opened that. You made that gate. Only small one, she said. The big one, still locked. He stared at her. Why did they create you? Her voice was almost a whisper. To keep the gate closed. Forever. What's behind it? Lyra closed her eyes. The end. The truth about Lyra the dark sphere floated in space like a dead god. Silent, cold, and massive. It wasn't a planet. It wasn't a star. It was something else. Something ancient. Evan stared at it from the cockpit. His ship's systems couldn't read it. No heat, no mass, no data. Just black. What is that? He asked. Lyra stood beside him, quiet. A memory, she said. Buried. Locked. You've been here before? Not me. The first one. Evan looked at her, confused. There were others like you. Lyra nodded slowly. Many. Long ago. All made for one purpose. Stop the gate. What gate? She pointed at the sphere. That gate. The ship floated near the edge of the sphere. Evan powered down everything except life support. They were hidden. For now. He sat across from Lyra in the cargo bay. She was drawing with a piece of old carbon chalk, alien symbols on the metal floor. Evan watched in silence. She was remembering something. Something not hers. Something older. Finally, she spoke. My race was made. Not born. Evan didn't interrupt. They needed a key, but also a lock. A living lock. We were both. Who made you? The ancients. They ruled. Stars. They made beauty. And war. Evan leaned in. What was behind the gate? Lyra stopped drawing. Not a monster, she said. Not a god. Then what? A mistake. Evan frowned. They tried to create a perfect mind, one that could think beyond time, beyond death, a mind made of light and shadow. It broke, free. It saw all life as noise, it wanted silence. And it killed them? She nodded. They couldn't destroy it, so they trapped it, behind the gate. Evan stood pacing. And now they're trying to open it again? Yes. They believe they can control it this time. They believe wrong. He opened the data logs again, connected to the station's ancient systems. A voice played. We made the gate born from light DNA, mixed with human thought patterns. We gave them emotion. So they could feel fear. So they would never open the gate. Only one remains. If she survives, the gate stays shut. If she dies, the seal weakens. Evan felt cold. You mean if you die, the thing behind the gate can escape? Lyra nodded. I'm not a weapon, she said. I'm a warning. Suddenly the ship rocked. Evan ran to the controls. Something had pulled them closer to the sphere. No engines. No gravity. Just attraction. We're being pulled in, he said. The gate senses me, Lyra said. It's trying to speak. He looked at her. Can it? Only if I let it? Evan stood still, staring at the black sphere growing larger outside the window. What happens if it speaks to you? I forget who I am, her voice cracked. I become the key and the door. Evan had a choice. He could leave now, run, find a new hole in space to hide in, or he could dive deeper, find out how to protect Lyra, and stop the ones trying to use her. He knew what he had to do. We're not leaving yet, he said. There's a station inside that sphere, the first gate-born temple, your origin. Lyra turned to him, scared. No one who enters returns. Evan touched her shoulder. Then we'll be the first. They flew into the black. At first, there was only darkness, then stars, but not real ones. Ghosts, memories. The ship passed through an invisible layer, and suddenly, a structure appeared. Massive, floating in the dark, a temple of glass and metal. Alien, but beautiful. Like something built by gods. They landed on a small platform. Evan grabbed his gear. Lyra followed. Inside, the walls shimmered with light. Strange, symbols danced in the air. Echoes of voices long dead whispered through the halls. Evan touched a panel. It lit up. This place. It's alive, he said. Yes, Lyra replied. It remembers. In the center of the temple, they found it. A chamber. Giant. And in the middle, a mirror. Not of glass, but liquid shadow. It rippled as they approached. Evan raised his weapon, but Lyra stepped forward. Don't, she said. It wants to speak. You said it was dangerous. It is. She walked to the mirror. The liquid moved, and a face formed, not hers, but like hers. Older. Darker. A version of her that had opened the gate. That had lost. Welcome home, it whispered. Lyra trembled. Evan grabbed her hand. Stay with me. I'm trying, she whispered. The mirror self smiled. Why fight it? Open the gate. Let the silence in. The universe is tired. Let it rest, Evan shouted. You're not her. No, the shadow said. But she will be. The room shook. Evan pulled Lyra back. The shadow screamed. But Lyra closed her eyes. Focused. The chamber calmed. The mirror vanished. Silence. She fell into his arms, breathing heavy. You're stronger than it, he said. She didn't answer. But her eyes said everything. The final stand, the ship was burning, smoke filled the hallways. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Warning lights blinked red across every screen. Evan's breath was heavy as he dragged Lyra through the narrow corridor. Her body was limp, her skin dim, her glow fading fast. Behind them, footsteps echoed. Metal, boots, slow, steady. The hunter had arrived. It wasn't a drone this time. It was real. A tall, dark figure in living armor, made of black stone and green fire. Its face was hidden, but its voice carried through the ship like thunder. Give her, to me, human. She is not yours to protect. Evan didn't answer. He kicked open the door to the engine room and set Lyra down beside the main power core. He pulled his weapon and turned to face the hallway. His shoulder bled. His ribs ached. He was outgunned, outmatched, and out of time. But he wasn't giving up. Not now. The hunter stepped into view. It didn't run. It didn't need to. Its weapon hummed. A long spear of energy pulsing with alien runes. You are brave, it said. But useless. Evan raised his blaster and fired. The shot hit the hunter's chest, but the armor absorbed it. It didn't even flinch. Evan fired again. And again. Nothing. The hunter lifted its hand, and with a wave, sent Evan flying backward into the wall. He hit hard, blood in his mouth, vision blurry. He looked toward Lyra. She hadn't moved. Get up, he whispered to himself. Get up. The hunter walked past him and stood over her. It lifted the spear. The gate must open, it said. She will open it, or she will die. But just as it raised the weapon, a bright light flashed. The spear shattered. The hunter stepped back. Lyra stood now, eyes wide open, body glowing brighter than ever before. Her feet lifted off the ground. Her hair floated. Her skin burned like a living star. She raised one hand. The air cracked. The hunter roared in surprise, but it was too late. A shockwave of pure energy slammed into him, throwing him through the wall. Metal bent. Fire exploded. The ship shook as systems failed one by one. Evan crawled forward, coughing. Lyra! She turned to him, but her eyes were distant. I remember everything now, she said. Who I was, what I am, what I must do. No, Evan said, struggling to his feet. You don't have to do this alone. I do, she whispered. I am the seal. The hunter returned, his armor cracked, his body smoking, but still alive. "You cannot stop it," he growled. "You cannot stop me. I'm not trying to stop you," Lyra said calmly. "I'm ending you." Her glow intensified, the ship walls melted, gravity broke. Evan felt himself rise off the floor, like time was folding around them. The hunter lunged. Lyra raised both hands and everything went white. When the light faded, Evan opened his eyes. He was lying on the ground outside, not in the ship, not in space, on a surface of rock and dust, stars above. Lyra stood in front of him, but she looked different, older, taller, powerful. "Where are we?" Evan asked. "A moment between," she said. "Time has paused. I gave you one last second." He looked around. "Did we win?" She nodded. "The hunter is gone. The signal is gone. The gate is quiet again." He stood slowly. "Then let's go back." But she didn't move. "You're not coming back, are you?" Her silence was the answer. "If I live?" "The gate calls me," she said. "My power will always attract the ones who want to open it. And one day, they might win. So what will you do?" She smiled gently. "I'll go beyond the gate, not to open it, but to guard it, from the other side. You said no one comes back." "They don't," she said. "But someone has to go." Evan felt his chest tighten. He walked toward her, touched her arm. It was warm, but fading. "You don't have to do this." "I do," she said. "But I'm not afraid anymore. Because of you." She reached into her hand and gave him something. A crystal. Small, glowing with her light. "What is this?" "A memory," she whispered. "Of who I was. So I won't be forgotten." Evan held it tight. "Will I see you again?" "Not in this life," she said, stepping back, "but maybe in the stars." And then she vanished. Not burned, not destroyed. Just gone. The sky above shimmered. The black sphere cracked just a little, then faded from view. Silent again. Evan stood alone. The universe had almost ended, but one girl, a child not born but built, had saved it, and him. A new beginning. 3 years had passed since the gate was sealed. The black sphere never returned. Space was quiet again, peaceful, but something had changed. Stories began to spread, across stations, colonies, even Earth. Stories of a man who found an alien child in a dead city. Stories of a girl who wasn't born but made, a girl who glowed like a star, who could speak to machines, who faced a hunter alone, and disappeared into the void. Most people didn't believe it. They called it a myth, a fable, a warning. But one man knew the truth. Evan Cole. He lived now on a moon colony near Saturn. Quiet, alone. His ship, the Kestrel, sat docked in a museum hangar, burned and broken, listed under relic of unknown conflict, pilot survived, story classified. Children came to see it every week. They called it the ghost ship. They didn't know the truth. But Evan remembered every detail, every word, and every night he looked at the crystal Lyra had given him, still glowing, still warm. One evening, as the sky turned purple over the colony, Evan sat outside his small home staring at the stars. He held the crystal in his hand. It pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. That had never happened before. He stood up. "Lyra?" No reply, just a feeling, like someone watching. A presence. He walked to the old beacon tower near the cliffs. He hadn't powered it on in years, but that night something told him to try. He placed the crystal inside the tower's core. A hum filled the air. Then, a voice. Small. Gentle. "Evan." He froze. It was her. He knew that voice. He would never forget it. "I don't have much time," the voice said. "The gate holds all, but the shadows are moving. Slower, smarter, watching." Evan swallowed. You're alive? Not as you knew me, but yes, part of me still remains. Outside the gate, watching. Can I help? Not yet, but one day they'll try again. When they do, you'll need others like me, others who can resist. Evan looked at the sky. How? The crystal, she said. It's more than memory. It's a seed. He stared at it, realizing what she meant. Lyra hadn't just saved the universe, she had left behind the blueprint. For more, for others. In the following months, Evan disappeared from the colony. No messages, no trace. But whispers followed. Someone had accessed forgotten star maps. Someone had visited ruined systems once sealed by old warnings. And one day, a new signal appeared, broadcast from deep space in a simple language all could understand. This is Evan Cole. We are not alone. The gate is real. The silence is not gone, but neither is hope. Epilogue. Somewhere in the void, beyond stars and time, a child walked through a world of light and shadow. She looked like Lyra, but she was not the same. Her eyes were brighter, her voice was stronger, and she was not alone. Others stood beside her, new, gate-born, watching the edge of reality, guarding the silence, waiting for the day it would try again. But this time, it would not find them unprepared.